Hello everyone! Welcome to Storytime with Fairfield County Library. My name is Miss Nina and I am so excited for Storytime. Are you guys ready? Awesome! Alright, this week our theme is winter. So this week we are going to be reading stories that are all about winter, specifically winter in the woods. Alright, our first book is Owl Moon by Jane Yolen, illustrated by John Schoenherr and published by Philomel Books. It was late one winter night, long past my bedtime, when Pa and I went owling. There was no wind, the trees stood still as giant statues, and the moon was so bright that the sky seemed to shine. Somewhere behind us a train whistle blew, long and low, like a sad, sad song. I could hear it through the woolen cap Pa had pulled down over my ears. A farm dog answered the train, and then a second dog joined in. They sang out, trains and dogs, for a real long time, and when their voices faded away, it was as quiet as a dream. We walked on toward the woods, Pa and I. Our feet crunched over the crisp snow, and little gray footprints followed us. Pa made a long shadow, but mine was short and round. I had to run after him every now and then to keep up, and my short, round shadow bumped after me. But I never called out. If you go owling, you have to be quiet. That's what Pa always says. I had been waiting to go owling with Pa for a long, long time. We reached the line of pine trees, black and pointy against the sky, and Pa held up his hand. I stopped right where I was and waited. He looked up, as if searching the stars, as if reading a map up there. The moon made his face into a silver mask. Then he called, "Hoo, hoo, 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 hoo," the sound of a great horned owl. "Hoo, hoo, 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 hoo." Again he called out, and then again. After each call he was silent, and for a moment we both listened, but there was no answer. Pa shrugged, and I shrugged. I was not disappointed. My brothers all said sometimes there's an owl, and sometimes there isn't. We walked on. I could feel the cold, as if somebody's icy hand was palmed down on my back, and my nose, and the tops of my cheeks felt cold and hot at the same time. But I never said a word. If you go owling, you have to be quiet and make your own heat. We went into the woods. The shadows were the blackest things I had ever seen. They stained the white snow. My mouth felt furry, for the scarf over it was wet and warm. I didn't ask what kind of things hide behind black trees in the middle of the night. When you go owling, you have to be brave. Then we came to a clearing in the dark woods. The moon was high above us. It seemed to fit exactly over the center of the clearing, and the snow below it was whiter than the milk in a cereal bowl. I sighed, and Pa held up his hand at the sound. I put my mittens over the scarf over my mouth and listened hard. Then Pa called, "Hoo, hoo, 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 hoo." I listened and looked so hard my ears hurt and my eyes got cloudy with the cold. Pa raised his face to call out again, but Before he could open his mouth, an echo came threading its way through the trees. "Ooh, ooh, 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 ooh." Pa almost smiled. Then he called back, "Ooh, ooh, 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 ooh," just as if he and the owl were talking about supper, or about the woods, or the moon, or the cold. I took my mitten off the scarf off my mouth, and I almost smiled too. The owl's call came closer, from high up in the trees, on the edge of the meadow. Nothing in the meadow moved. All of a sudden, an owl shadow, part of the big tree shadow, lifted off and flew right over us. We watched silently with heat in our mouths, the heat of all those words we had not spoken. The shadow hooted again. Pa turned on his big flashlight and caught the owl just as it was landing on a branch. For 1 minute, 3 minutes, maybe even 100 minutes, we stared at one another. Then the owl pumped its great wings and lifted off the branch like a shadow without sound. It flew back into the forest. "Time to go home," Pa said to me. I knew then I could talk. I could even laugh out loud, but I was a shadow as we walked home. When you go owling, you don't need words, or warm, or anything but hope. That's what Pa says. The kind of hope that flies on silent wings under a shining owl moon. Alright, that was Owl Moon. Did you guys like it? Alright, our next book is Over and Under the Snow by Kate Messner. Art by Christopher Silas Neal and published by Chronicle Books. Over the snow I glide, into woods, frosted fresh and white. Over the snow, a flash of fur, a red squirrel disappears down a crack. Where did he go? Under the snow, Dad says. Under the snow is a whole secret kingdom where the smallest forest animals stay safe and warm. You're skiing over them now. Over the snow I glide, past beech trees rattling leftover leaves and strong silent pines that stretch to the sky. On a high branch a great horned owl keeps watch. Under the snow, a tiny shrew dodges columns of ice. It follows a cool tunnel along the moss, out of sight. Look, Dad says. Tracks. Tracks always tell a story. Over the snow, a deer has crossed our path. Deep hoof prints punch through the crust, up the hill, under a tree. An oval of melted snow tells the story of a good night's sleep. Under the snow, deer mice doze. They cuddle up against the cold in a nest of feathers and fur. Over the snow, I climb, digging in my edges so I don't slide back down. Under the snow, Voles scratched through slippery tunnels, searching for morsels from summer feasts. Over the snow I swoosh. Down, down, faster, faster, down, faster, faster, whoops! Under the snow, a snowshoe hare watches from a shelter of spruce. Almost invisible, she smooths her fur, a coat of winter white. Over the snow I glide, past reeds where tadpoles play tag in springtime. Under the snow, fat bullfrogs snooze. They dream of sun-warmed days back when they had trails. Over the snow I stand and stare, little mountains in the marsh. Under the snow, beavers gnaw on aspen bark, settled in for supper. Can they hear my tummy rumbling too? Over the snow, stop, a sound. We stand like statues carved in ice till a bushy-tailed fox steps from a thicket, tips his ears to the ground, listens, listens, listens still. And leaps out onto the snow after an invisible dinner. His paws scratch away to find the mouse he heard scritch, 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 scratching along underneath, under the snow. Over the snow I glide. A full moon lights my path to supper. Under the snow, a chipmunk wakes for a meal. Bedroom, kitchen, hallway, his house under my feet. Over the snow I climb one last hill. Bonfire smoke rises, warm hands, hot cocoa, hot dogs sizzling on puppeted sticks. Under the snow, a black bear snores, still full of October blueberries and trout. Over the snow, the fire crackles and sparks shoot up to the stars. I lick sticky marshmallow from my lips and lean back with heavy eyes. Shadows dance in the flames. Under the snow, a queen bumblebee drowses away December, all alone. She'll brew a new colony in spring. Over the snow I glide home on tired legs. Clouds whisper down feathery soft flakes. Under the covers, I snuggle deep and drift into dreams. Of cuddling deer mice and slumbering frogs, hungry beavers and tunneling wolves, drowsy bears and busy squirrels, and secret kingdom under the snow. That was Over and Under the Snow. I hope you guys liked it. Alright everyone, thank you for coming to Storytime. Now, just because we're done reading does not mean we have to be done with Storytime. If you come down to the library this week, you can pick up a Storytime kit, which are these fun-filled activity kits that we made to go with the books we read today. Each kit comes with a coloring sheet, a craft, and a tasty recipe that you can make with your grown-ups. This week, our recipe is for a snow day snack mix, and our craft is this, a cardboard tube snowman. Like his hat, I made him myself. To get a kit, you need to come to the Fairfield County Library and look for some crates in the children's section. Now, we have 2 crates, one for Monday story times and one for Wednesdays. So you want to make sure that you grab the right kits, or you could end up with something completely different. The kits for this story time are in the Group B crate. They're the blue ones. New kits come out every week whenever there's a new story time, and if you want to try a kit from last week, it never hurts to ask one of the librarians. We might still have some. Maybe ask for me, Miss Nina. Okay, everyone, thank you for joining me for story time. It's time to say goodbye, but I look forward to seeing you all next time. Maybe in the library when you come to pick up a Storytime kit. All right, it's time to say bye. Bye!